opening statement. Candidate number 1.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for attending the candidate forum. Here are some fun facts about me. First, my name is Landmann, and I hope everybody can hear me okay, standing? Okay, all right. So my name is Landmann. I've lived in Glendora for the last 43 years, and I've enjoyed every second of it. I've been very involved in the community over this time. I'm a graduate of Glendora High School, class of '92. I also went to Sutherland Elementary School 1 year, as well as St. Dorothy's for the majority of the time. My parents moved the family over to Glendora primarily for the schools. And that was the reason we came over, because we were in Sierra Madre, and they were researching different locations for good school sites. And that's what brought us here. My dad's a chemist, my mom's a businesswoman, and I'm one of 4 children in the family. So, I am the lucky mother also of Dean and Addison, my twins. They're going to be 17 next Friday. They're brilliant and talented, and I've enjoyed every second with them. My rock is Stuart, and we both share a love of history, classic cars, our boxer named Elvis, and hikes in the South Hills Wilderness Park. I'm a multitasker extraordinaire. I've been teaching for 27 years in Cabina Valley, and 22 years as an adjunct professor at University of Laverne. I'm the president of the Library Board of Trustees right now. I'm on the Glendora Christmas Parade Committee. A life member for the Historical Society, and many more stuff. I will speak more and give you more information. Now I'm getting 15 seconds probably. Thank you.
Candidate number 2.
Thank you all for being here tonight. It's an honor to have the opportunity to be in front of you. My name is Dustin Snyder, and I'd start off by saying I'm not a politician. I didn't choose politics. Politics chose me. I am here because I'm a father. I am a husband. I'm a proud member of this community, and like you, I care deeply about the future that we're going to leave behind for our children. Some things about me: I grew up in Minnesota. I was raised by a hardworking single mother who taught us that we are shaped by our hard work and our willingness to help others. Those values stayed with me throughout my time in the United States Air Force and into my professional career, where I've worked for multiple Fortune 500 companies, and that's allowed me to see firsthand the true power of smart and long-term decision-making. What truly drives me, though, most of anything, is my family and community. As a father of 3 and husband to an incredible teacher, I always think about what kind of community we are shaping for our children. I always ask myself, will Glendora continue to be a place where our children and our grandchildren, where they can grow, thrive, and continue to feel safe? It's up to all of us to work together to create a strong and supportive future for the next generation. That is why I'm running for City Council, because I'm here to listen, to continue my service, and to work with all of you to make sure that Glendora remains a place that our future generations will continue to be proud of. Thank you.
Candidate number 3.
Good evening, and thank you everyone for being here tonight. I appreciate that you've taken the time out of your day to get to know us better. Before I begin, I'd just like to acknowledge the fact that today is a National Day of Remembrance, and I'd be remiss not to recognize that nearly 3,000 people lost their lives on this day 23 years ago. The work of our first responders can be incredibly dangerous, and this has been the reality for my family for my entire life, so I appreciate the first responders who are here with us tonight. I've seen a lot of familiar faces, but for those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Shauna Elias. I was born and raised in San Dimas, and I've been a Glendora resident for the last 16 years. I'm the wife of an immigrant. My husband Trini moved to the United States in 2009, and we have 2 sons who attend Glendora schools and participate in our community programs. I've been a licensed real estate agent for nearly 20 years and focus primarily on residential sales. In addition to volunteering for Meals on Wheels, I'm also a board member for Seroptimus and PTA. I'm running for city council for a very simple reason. I love our city, and I want to make sure it continues to be the amazing place we call home as we navigate our way into the future. It was important to me as I began this journey to ensure that the voices of the residents in my district played a key role in my campaign platform. I've personally walked my entire district, meeting my neighbors and gathering their feedback about what issues are most important to them. Public safety and homelessness were by far the most important issues, and for that reason are two of my top 5 priorities, in addition to housing, economic development, and keeping decision-making in Glendora, not Sacramento. Thank you again for being here, and I'm looking forward to answering your questions.
Thank you. Candidate number 3.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jenny Chen, and I'm running to represent District 3 in Glendora City. I'm a proud first-generation Asian American, and my journey to finding home in America and ultimately here in Glendora is one about resilience, determination, and growth. After graduating from USC, I decided Southern California is to be my permanent home. I persevered through the Great Recession, survived a couple heartbreaks, and now I'm growing my beautiful family here in Glendora. As a wife and a mom, family is always my top priority. When we choose here to be our new home, we were drawn to the tree-lined, quiet neighborhoods and excellent public schools. As a finance professional, I built my career on collaboration, accountability, and creative problem solving. I'm committed to finding out-of-the-box solution, maximizing every dollar we spend, and ultimately, and most importantly, stay within our means. This has always been the guiding principle of my career, and it will continue to guide me as your city council member. And combining the delegation and professional expertise, I'm ready to lead the city of Glendora. I want to make this city the place where everyone feels belong and valued, making this city the best place to live, learn, and love. Thank you.
Well, why don't we give a round of applause for everyone? Kind of bring the energy down a little. It's all community. So, okay. First question. What one thing do you think needs changing in the city? Or conversely, what one thing do you want to see continue? So we will start with candidate number 1.
I thought you wrote it. Okay.
Well, yeah, we'll
All right.
start rotating now.
Sorry. Okay, for one change, I think one change is that the city really needs to address the infrastructure immediately. There is a quote from JFK, the time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining, and it should not be a time where we kick the infrastructure issues down the road, such as the condition of the public library right now. That's a major issue. I'm concerned for the structure's well-being, as well as the people who work within the structure, and the library really represents our community. I have never visited a library in any city and seen buckets collecting water from a leaky ceiling, and it's basically been leaking since 1976 or something. And so it's not a situation that we need to just kick down the road. We need to do something now. Same with the street conditions, you know, as people are driving on their way to come visit the library perhaps, they're hitting potholes on Glendora Avenue. Yes, I realize that Glendora Avenue is going to be repaired soon, but why did it get to this point? Because there are people who have lived on Glendora Avenue in that stretch, and they have never seen it repaired, ever. And they have resided here since the 50s. So that's one change. And what we need to continue is to continue having a family-friendly town and be kind to one another and open and welcome to everybody. Thank you.
Candidate number 2.
My biggest thing that I think with the city is the balance that we need to look at with protecting our green spaces, but also using smart and thoughtful developments. My career in business has been a lot of strategic planning, sustainable growth, finding ways to improve transparency. And what we could look into is smart infill development. I understand a lot of people may want to just go crazy and say, oh, we're building low-income houses. Reality check, Glendora is not low income. Low income here is $750,000. So I don't know what low-income person is making $150,000 a year at a minimum. Now, there are private and public partnerships the city could look into. I know our city has taken a tour at the Mercy Housing Project in El Monte. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that group, but the Mercy name should be synonymous with help. There's the Mercy Ships, the Mercy Hospital, and Mercy Housing Development. They specialize in a two-pronged attack. One for veterans and one for lower income families. I was one of those kids who did grow up low income. Thanks to groups like them, I had opportunities to succeed and I took advantage of every bit of it. What's unique about them, it costs the city next to nothing. It preserves our money. It improves our transparency. It allows us to increase our revenue streams. They provide on-site services, whether it's for mental health or educational resources. They also maintain it. So by working with outside partnerships, it will maintain our green spaces. It'll allow us to grow and develop in the smart path that we need to while protecting the future for our children, which is definitely the most important thing we need to be focusing on. Thank you.
Candidate number 3.
Well, one thing that I believe is going to change, no matter if we like it or not, is something called the A-line. We have a train coming through town next year, and it's going to bring a ton of opportunity for our city. I look forward to a station here down on Glendora Avenue by Albertsons, and would love to see a connection between that station and our businesses in the village. I think that we have a lot of business owners in the village who could use a boost in a customer base. So I would love to see some development in the right here down Glendora Avenue, maybe bring in some mixed use. Housing, I think, is probably going to be a topic that comes up. You know, we can incorporate some higher density housing as well as some business area, and let's really encourage people to get off the train and come spend their money in Glendora. I think that would bring new businesses here and help revitalize some of the businesses that are already here. Something that I would like to continue is to ensure that the small town feel that we all love so much stays intact. And I think that there is a way to both bring the growth in, but also keep our small town feel. Our tree-lined streets, a lot of our streets don't have sidewalks, which it could be problematic sometimes, but I think it really adds to the small town charm. So I would love to see how we can incorporate both of those things into our future.
Candidate number 4.
So first of all, thank you very much for the question. I think that is a great beginning of our forum. Let me start with what I want to continue. One thing that I really appreciate is how the city communicate. I receive like quarterly city report. I got updates from emails. I got updates from social media. And kudos to Mayor Thompson. Your reels, I watch it over and over. It's really great. How you promote our state of the city is great. So this is one thing that I want to continue. And how we continue to do it is we make sure we reach out to people who think they are not, they do not matter. And that's why I walk door to door over the last couple of months. And every time I knock on the door, I'm hoping to talk to you, to talk to anyone, regardless where you stand on national issue. Because here is where it matters. One thing over and over again that I hear from the constituents is about our street condition. We need to make sure we put money back into our street, make sure we fix our sidewalks, make sure we have safe crossing for our children. Because no matter what is your letter beside your name, actually everybody cares about our street. And I care very much because I have an 11-year-old and I want him to be safe. I want him to be eventually able to ride a bike, how about that? And make sure he is safe when he is walking from our house to the bus station. I'm a big supporter of public transportation. This is how I grow up. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, in question 2, we're going to start with candidate number 2, 3, 4, and then 1. So, question number 2 is, Glendora is becoming increasingly diverse. What policies would you implement to ensure that every resident, regardless of their background, feels represented and supported by the city? Candidate number 2.
It's a fantastic question. And one thing that makes me have a very unique perspective on this, serving in the United States military, we don't see color. I mean, we might see blue, green, the Marines in their handsome uniforms, even though they eat color crayons, but we don't care. We're brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, we're all family. Everybody should be able to feel welcomed and safe in our city. One of the things I think we can do with our community outreach is have more community type events. Now, the car show in the village is a great idea. It attracts people of all backgrounds, especially car enthusiasts. But we can take and do more, especially with the schools, to highlight our education. We can utilize that to not only build connections with people that we normally wouldn't, but we can also use it as a fundraising opportunity to help our schools raise additional funds that are much needed. One of the things that makes Glendora truly special is we have like 86% home ownership. That far exceeds surrounding communities. So when somebody comes into our community and they can fit the bill and improve our community in that way, they're just as equal as us. There should be no difference. They should be welcomed because they're contributing. And together, working with the new additions with the diverse backgrounds, it can give us a different insight. For example, we all have different backgrounds up here. And that's what makes this unique. We all have different perspectives on different things. And I think working with a diverse community, that will allow us to continue to grow and develop and make it even more special when we're around. Thank you.
Candidate number 3.
I actually think Glendora does a fantastic job on helping to make an inclusive community. One of the examples we just had it a few months back was our new multicultural event. It was phenomenal. I brought my kids down and there were booths and performances from all different cultures, and there were so many people out here. It was a really neat experience, and I assume that's something that's going to continue on each year. It was very well received. At the schools, I think our school district, we're doing fantastic things. I see some of our school board members here. We have dual language immersion programs, which are fantastic. I'm on PTA at Cullen, and we do a lot of events. We did a multicultural event last year. I think we are so good at really embracing people's differences and just being kind and trying to understand where people come from and really come from a place of curiosity. So there's always room for improvement. There's always more programs we can do and ways to expand on that, but I'm actually really impressed with what Glendora's done so far.
Candidate number 4.
I think a lot of us have been to the Culture Fest just a couple months ago, and I'm a big fan of the global map that everyone pins their origin. And if you saw how diverse we are, we have families coming from every single part of the world. And this is how diverse Glendora already is. And how to make sure all these people engage in our community. I would like to say more community events. Just like my fellow candidate said, more opportunity for everyone to come out to enjoy this city. I want to bring back the farmers market. This is one thing that is on the top of my mind. This is a way for us to all enjoy healthy food and make sure we are able to connect with the wider Glendora community. Another way to connect our community is to make sure our youth is engaged. Our high school student is probably one of the most diverse class, and I think this is a good way to start youth advisory committee at the city level so that their opinions are being heard and it will fit into our city policy in the long run. Thank you.
And candidate number 1.
Okay, first, as an ELD teacher and the ELD chair at my school, I work very hard every day to inform all of my students the importance of better understanding one another's differences and unique perspectives. And that's one thing, so I am very aware of differences and where everybody's coming from. The first annual Culture Fest was a huge success. That was awesome. The city of Glendora worked very hard on that, and I know it will be back again this next year. So that was a huge success. And then I also want to bring up one thing. I want to really make sure that all people living in all areas of Glendora are really represented on the council. We have 2 different zip codes, 2 different school districts, and right now we don't have 1 zip code and 1 school district area being represented. I live off Bonnie Cove in Gladstone. I'm a proud 91740 resident. When I first moved here in '81, I was 91740. For about 1 year, I lived in 91741, and I can tell you there is a huge difference in zip codes, whether it wants to be spoken out loud and addressed or not. There's a difference. And you don't know until you have lived in both zip codes. So I want to make sure that all the people of all Glendora are being represented. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just a reminder too, before we go into question 3, if you're silence your phones, that would be great. Question number 3. Facilities came up already, so let's kind of go back to that a little bit. Recently, a survey was conducted in Glendora that indicated that residents consider city facilities, including library, police department, city hall, parks, roads, to be critical for upkeep and improvement. However, when asked about supporting a bond, that fell short. With the majority that could pass it. What strategies would you propose to address these essential repairs if the bond was not approved? And how would you work with the community to potentially gain support with that bond or find other means to do such repairs? Candidate number 3.
Well, I actually support the bond, initiating a bond and presenting that to the city. I think that it's good to put that in the hands of the voters and let them decide if they want that. I think it is incumbent upon city staff and our city council to sell that to the city and explain to them what the benefits would be for that cost. I know that there's discussion about revitalizing this facility here, the library, the police department, and a lot of the things that have been talked about are fantastic, but that needs to be conveyed to the city. I think there's a knee-jerk reaction, and I'm guilty of it as well, to think, oh, I don't want to, I don't need another tax, I don't, need to spend more money. But if we can convey to them what they get for that money, I think more people will come on board. And that's, at the library, having services available to the city for maybe job training or equipment rental for technology, a facilities rental for events would be nice. So if they, and maybe to be provided to residents first before outsiders come in, or at a discounted rate. But I think if people knew that those things would be available to them as residents, they might be more interested in something like that. And I look at things also from a real estate agent perspective of, what that does, having those kind of services, how that impacts all of our property values. And when you have services that the entire community can utilize, it really just lifts everything up. So I think, looking at it in the bigger picture, it's a good thing. But again, it's incumbent on city staff and city council to convey that message to residents.
Candidate number 4.
So this is a very good question, and I think it is very important. Before I said anything else, if and when that bond measure comes out, I urge everybody to support it. This is a city that is over 100 years old. We need to maintain it, to hand it over to our next generation and their generation after. So please support a bond measure that will help to make our city better. And I think when the report came out, the percentage of how people will support a bond or not ground very much on how we word it. When asked if you're willing to increase your property tax to support a bond measure, the percentage is definitely lower when you tell people, are you willing to increase your property tax by $68 in order to fund our future? That is the difference. As your city council member, I'll continue to help educate our public, making sure every constituent understand what is at stake and what is the financial impact on your family. I think this is very important, and this is something that I can help to answer as a financial professional. Thank you.
Candidate number 1.
Okay, I really believe strongly in grant writing, and so as many grants that could be written as possible would be a great way to help offset some of the spending for, eventually the library really does need to be addressed, and we're not going to have any choice. We're going to eventually be forced to fix the library and really address that. But in the meantime, there's grant writing. The city so far has been able to raise through grants over $50 million for the last few years. And so that's a great technique right there to try to offset some of the costs, because they're talking about possibly like a new library, and it's scary. I know it's really scary, but I mean, they're talking about something like 60 million or more, and material costs have already increased. They're going up every day. So that was then. Who knows what it would be later on. But there's also, public outreach is very important. Going and having community outreach, having town hall meetings, inviting the public, making them aware of what's going on in the city, and how even little things like the measure Z, it's the city proposed sales tax increase of 0.25%. That's something to look at and evaluate the success with that passing as well. Maybe that's a good source to try to offset some of the infrastructure costs that we are going to have to address. Thank you.
And candidate number 2.
My time in the military and in business, I manage critical situations like this. I focus on efficiency and sustainability, but we need to be pragmatic and honest with ourselves. This library, for example, was built in the 70s during the Cold War era. That was a time when most people thought the structure's not going to last more than 50 years. It'll be replaced or moved to a new location. That's why this library is in disrepair. I mean, grant writing would be a great idea. The problem is there's not enough grant money. The Measure Z, the 0.25% tax, although it's worded strangely, it's actually a good thing for the city. It should have actually been a full penny back when Prop H was passed, but it was capped at 0.75 because of the state and county. So this is just a chance for us to right a wrong. So we would encourage Measure Z. As for a bond program, it's actually a smart play. The biggest issue with it, though, is transparency and communication. Now, amazing city management crew. They do a wonderful job. What they've accomplished just even in the last year with improving our technology is absolutely astounding, and if you're unaware of it, I'll give you a couple tidbits. To push transparency, the city is investing in software analytical data. This will allow us to have an app. So if you want to talk about a water project or a building project, you can go in, check the timelines, check the budgets. We can have true, clear accountability. A bond is going to save us money in the long run compared to a permanent tax. So supporting a bond is definitely going to be the way to go. We just need to be able to articulate it clear and concisely so we can all actually understand where our money is truly going. And I think I'm able to do that given my background, which is what makes me uniquely qualified for this.
Okay, so question number 4 regarding diversity. Do you support having DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, as a policy for the city of Glendora? This question, we will start with candidate number 4, please.
I think DEI is something that is very misunderstood. And I personally think I benefit a lot from DEI. As a kid who grew up from public housing, without people who very carefully making sure I'm getting the education that I need to thrive, I'm not going to be here today. So when we talk about DEI, it has nothing to do about suppressing certain group in order to help another. We need to make sure what we do is we elevate all of our people, especially our kids, helping them to learn and value each other. We all come from a different background. We all have a different culture. And what I want, and what I think everybody in this room wants, is we can live happily with each other, because we are neighbors regardless what we think about the people next to us. We have to find a way to be the person to elevate your neighbor and making sure everyone is enjoying the fruit of the DEI program. Thank you.
And number 1.
Could you repeat the question? I just wanted to make sure it was...
Sure. Do you support having diversity, equity, and inclusion as a policy for the city of Glendora?
Okay, so if that's regarding the city employees, honestly, I have always seen all the employees to be very compassionate, and they're very aware of all people's backgrounds, and even dealing with the public. And I've always appreciated that. So I really, that's just, honestly, it's the term of the day, and it's just going around, and it's the pendulum. It just goes back and forth. And so that's where we're at right now, but I think the employees in the city of Glendora are doing a great job, and they don't need to have another mandate put on their plates because they're already achieving the goal of DEI.
Candidate number 2.
You know, I've asked myself this question because I thought something of this magnitude might come up, and honestly, I couldn't think of a way to find a way to even try to support it. I don't believe DEI has any place in anything. Like Erica had mentioned, I think it's a fad. I think after this election cycle, it'll go away. I believe people who are best fitted for certain roles should be given the opportunity to take those. I don't think somebody who identifies as a purple dinosaur should be able to fly an airplane because they're a purple dinosaur and there's a quote in it. I'm sorry, I mean, take that kind of in jest, but I don't get it. I believe we need to support everybody, support diverse backgrounds, support what makes us different and special. That's really what has made Glendora beautiful. My family's been in this city for 3 generations. That's why my wife and I bought a house. Granted, we live on the south side as well. I don't really know the difference between 4041 or whatever it's called these days. To me, it's just Glendora. And that's how I want it to be. We're all just one big family. A bunch of people with different backgrounds, different thoughts, different skills, different life experiences. And that's something that we should highlight and support. We don't need to tell somebody they need to go to a mandated training to respect me because I might say certain words funny because I'm from Minnesota and everybody knows we're part Canadian. So why would you need to go to mandated training for that? I don't get it, I don't support it, I don't want it, and I think we should focus on the beauty and charm of our city and just uplifting everybody together as one. Thanks.
Candidate number 3.
Well, it might interest everyone in knowing that the city of Glendora already has this policy. And it's actually been working out just fine. I had a conversation about it today. These policies are already incorporated into our job training, and just so that the employees and staff of the city can understand each other. And it's apparently working very well. And it doesn't verge into the more political realms of it that we see in the news, but it is really just a way for staff to learn to accept the differences and the diversities amongst each other, and apparently it's been working out really great. So that and the overall idea of accepting people who are different from us, I think is fantastic. Me personally, I am a firm believer in equality of opportunity. I have a fundamental problem with the concept of DEI, which talks about more equality of outcomes. I can't support that. It's kind of a non-issue because we already have this in the city. But I think that we need to give everybody the same opportunity to excel, and then let them excel or not, and still support them regardless. I'm the mom of biracial kids, and to me, I find it so incredibly offensive that somebody might look at my kids and think that they are less than somebody who's fully white, just based on that. So I don't personally support that aspect of it. But in terms of everybody having an opportunity to learn more about our neighbors and our friends, I absolutely support that.
Thank you very much. Next question. When it comes to Glendora businesses, what do you believe the city's responsibilities are in supporting and assisting the Glendora business community. So basically, what is their responsibility? We're going to start with candidate number 1.
Okay, for local businesses, I've been thinking a lot about it, and for example, I don't know all the businesses when they open, but I think it may be a really great idea to invite various businesses to council meetings, and they could go and just share a brief little presentation about what their business is all about, making the public a little bit more aware about all the things that Glendora has to offer. That's one suggestion that I think would be pretty cool. The other thing is I have heard that there are a lot of challenges regarding getting business licenses or permits, you know, whatever it may be, there's quite a lag time. And so just something to make it a little bit easier to run and start a business in Glendora, so you could be a little bit more business friendly. Thank you.
Candidate number 2.
You know, one thing that makes me uniquely qualified on this is my business background with Fortune 500 companies. It's provided me a very deep understanding of how to operate, grow, and change markets to help businesses thrive. One thing that our small businesses have done is they protected the charm of Glendora. I think we can all agree on that, especially when we're walking down the village. It's a thing of beauty. But if we really want to help them, we can help them by providing additional incentives and grants. Things like that allow small businesses to grow. And a lot of them don't have the resources that they can use to write a grant or to solicit additional state and federal funds that they might otherwise be able to access. So if we can support them with that, it would allow them to continue to grow. But more importantly, it would allow them to stay open later. It would allow them to create more jobs. And with that A-line coming in, granted it's not right here in the village, it's down just a little ways. If they grow and expand, we could also use our smart development to attract some larger companies to come to Glendora, which could increase our charm even more. And that is only going to help us generate more revenues. So we need to support our businesses by providing them additional resources that they'll be able to utilize to help grow their business, to protect things. Because anybody that's been in business knows there's good months, there's bad months. The bad months, sometimes you do need that helping hand. And I believe if we can help them effectively navigate those, they'll appreciate it more. And again, things like that is what makes Glendora just so charming. But I mean, I love it here because of that. So yeah, I love small businesses. That's how I help them. Thank you.
Candidate number 3.
Well, it's not the city per se, but I would be remiss if I didn't at least point out that the chamber, Joe, Auburn, are doing a fantastic job at supporting our businesses. It's been amazing to kind of watch how that it's blossomed. So that's one thing, just good relationships like that. It's actually apropos timing for a question like this, because at last night's city council meeting, a survey was discussed that went out to our local businesses, and the #1 challenge of businesses in Glendora has been homelessness. So I think that what we can do to support local businesses is to address that #1 challenge, and so that would be addressing homelessness. They're, I think, a really good example of businesses that have been harmed a great deal are our businesses down on the Arrow Highway corridor. And I know Mayor Pro Tem Frieddahl over here has done quite a bit of work because it's county, you know, the street side is county property, but that's really making it difficult for businesses to thrive. So I think by working to address those issues that they've said themselves are important to them, that would be a first step. Another thing that we could do is actually making an environment that brings in more potential customers. So I think like with the A-line and working to develop and connect the station with the village. And also, there's a lot of opportunity down Route 66 that would encourage riders of the train to actually get off and spend their money here. I think that would be a big help to our businesses.
Candidate number 4.
So I'm actually going to refer to the same business survey that our city council discussed last night. I'm surprised that 84% of our local businesses say that they are either very happy or satisfied with their current business in Glendora. And 65% is expecting growth in the next 3 years, which is a good sign for us. That means Glendora is a place where people want to be in business with. As for what is the city council and the city should be doing for support in terms of supporting businesses, I would think ourselves is, first of all, we are the matchmaker. We want to be engaged with them through networking events, because that is how we connect different businesses. Maybe someone needs an insurance policy. We have insurance agents in our town. Maybe someone needs a new location. Well, we obviously have a ton of real estate agents in town. So as a city, working with the chamber, I think that is something that we can do as a matchmaker. Second thing, I think it would be spokesperson capacity. We go outside of Glendora, reach out to other business owners to make sure that they are aware that the city of Glendora is open for business. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You want to take a brief? You want to take a drink of water? Brief, just for a second. Don't go anywhere. Just pause for a second, if you want. Then I'll ask you a question, and then we'll start back. How's it going? Good?
Yeah.
Okay. So you good? Okay, we'll get going again.
I was like, you're not leaving. You're not allowed to leave.
Don't leave, we're not done. Let's just do a quick fun question. We're going to start with 1 go to 4. Your favorite cereal? Your favorite cereal?
My favorite cereal is cracker oat cereal.
Candidate number 2, favorite cereal? Kashi. Number 3?
Cheerios with blueberries.
Yes.
Okay, and candidate number 4.
Super boring, I just like conflicts.
Okay. Next question. Regarding schools. Question here. It says, the ranking of Glendora schools has been slowly dropping across the city. As a city council person, how do you plan to help our school board improve our schools? And question number 6, we'll start with candidate number 2.
When it comes to education, I don't think there is anybody up here that appreciates it almost as much as I do. My wife, being the teacher that she is, she makes our family very involved with it. So I know the challenges that our educators are facing firsthand. I've been involved with numerous school districts, multiple education foundations. I've been principal for the day multiple times, and bless their heart, because in elementary, that is a tough job. You know what's a tough job? Go be a principal for a day. It's tough. But one of the issues we struggle with in education is our socioeconomic status. We're not poor enough to get the maximum dollars, and we're too wealthy to be able to fund it appropriately. It's just not right. If I'm elected, one of the first things I'm doing is calling up every lawyer that I've ever worked with in my professional career, and I'm going to say, help me start pushing policy to change it so all schools can be equally funded. There's no reason we should be any different than any of the other districts around us. Our education fund has done a wonderful job to help thus far, but I think if we take and advocate for policy change, we look at some additional private partnerships. Some school districts even have large corporations that sponsor schools directly. Doing that actually allows them to improve a lot of their facilities, which allows them to have a greater impact on education. Another thing I really want to try and do is I want to work on a Veterans Council and a Civilians Council, where we can take and get more involved with community members, whether business leaders or veterans. We can offer mentorships to kids, so that way they understand what's out there and why certain things are important, because I think it'll connect with them better. And when you're able to connect with the children, they're more successful in life.
Candidate number 3.
Well, I agree that we have seen a decline in our ratings in the last few years, but I'll actually give a little grace to our school board, because I think it is across the board, not only in Glendora, in California, but across the country. We're looking at numbers right now that are taking into consideration COVID-19. So test scores took a big hit during that, and we're seeing that. I see it, selling houses. A lot of people use the school ratings websites, and our numbers are down. I think as we get further away from COVID, we will see those just naturally come up. I think one thing that the city can do is continue to cultivate the relationship with the school board through the joint use agreement, and work on, evaluating some of our facilities and some of the things that we share, whether that's the pool, whether it's the track, what can we do to help improve some of the things that the school uses that the city could use as well. Tennis courts, tracks, pools, all that kind of thing. So that's what I would do.
Candidate number 4, please.
So as a city, we are already doing a lot to help with our school districts. We have help funding our schools resource officers, and then we already have existing agreement to help with maintaining and upgrading the track and fields, and I believe what's coming next is the pool. I personally think what the city can actually do is about housing. We need housing to invite new family to come in. That will help us with enrollment. That is how we, under the existing funding formula, will be able to help our school to get more funding. In terms of long term, I do agree there should be some adjustment on how we fund our school, but this is out of our scope currently. So what we can do is focusing on making sure Glendora is inviting new families coming in and start a family here and putting their children in our school system. Thank you.
And candidate number 1.
As a 27-year teacher, I understand very well what it's like to be in the classroom. I'm in the classroom every day, sometimes twice a day, because I'm either over at the middle school and then I go over to my second job over at University of Laverne, so I'm over there as well. And so I see the differences in support for the different levels of learning. The one big thing that I want to share, fun fact, this is the first year that I have students who actually know how to write in cursive. And it was because of COVID learning loss that is significant. There are tons of studies that have been done on the COVID learning loss, and it's very upsetting to see what all that time out of the school setting has, how it has impacted the students. So, I mean, I totally understand completely what it's like to be a teacher, what it's like to have different situations going on in the classroom every day. And it's made, I remember Dr. Ann Crescent, she was the head of the Glendora Community Conservancy, and she would always say, she's all, oh no, Erica's a teacher, she's tough. She won't get bothered. It's just water off a duck's back, you know. And she would always say that about me. But it's true. After you get angry students yelling, you know, because they're addicted to their cell phones or whatever's going on, I don't really get bothered by a lot of stuff at a certain point, you know. But I do know that I would be able to really work well with the school board and get, you know, if they need something, I could relay the message to the community and help everybody.
Thank you very much. Okay, question number 7 regarding code enforcement. If elected, how will you enforce? Well, what are your thoughts on your enforcement of codes and holding building owners accountable for maintaining structures and keeping them occupied? So, question number 7, we'll start with candidate number 3.
Well, coming from a family of law enforcement, I'm a big rule follower. So I'm all about enforcing, you know, whatever codes and regulations we have. I definitely think that they need to be enforced. I think it helps keep the community vibrant. It helps people understand what the expectation is. And when you don't hold one person accountable to the rules and guidelines, how can you expect to do that for the next person? And once, it's like with kids, once you give an inch to one of them, you got to do the same thing for the other one. So I just think that in terms of keeping a vibrant community and a strong business community and housing community, you know, keeping people to the codes is very important. Now, if there's a code that, you know, that is not acceptable, then we can change it. You go through the process to change it. But I think, you know, I'm a strong supporter of following rules.
Thank you. Candidate number 4, please.
So as a mom, I am a favor of carrot and stick. So before we do enforcement, I think we should give them some carrots. Going back, I would want to reiterate our job as a matchmaker. In terms of maintenance, there may be difficulties for them to front all the maintenance up front. So our responsibility could be helping them to find the good business loan or a grant that can help them to achieve what they should be doing. And in terms of making sure the business building is occupied, I think, again, it is the city's responsibility to be the matchmaker, helping them to find the right kind of client, the right kind of tenant to be in place. And I know our Chamber of Commerce has been doing a lot of that. I would support programs that would help with women in business. I would support people who is in a diverse background to start a business here in Glendora. And if everything's failed, then we will have enforcement. And that is how we can balance as a city in terms of code enforcement and making us a vibrant and thriving business community. Thank you.
Standard number 1.
One huge way to make sure that businesses stay in place is to make sure they get proper support from the community. And like I was sharing in the earlier question, I really think sometimes people may just not be aware that business exists. Like down on Arrow Highway, there's a new business. It's female-owned. She's such a hard worker. It's a juice place. It took over at the place where Subway used to be on Bonnie Cove and Arrow. And she has a huge following. It's great. My twins approved of the protein shakes, so they like those. And then Sushi Umi just went and sold to a new owner, a change of ownership. But they're great. They have different roles than the other ones. There's a sleep hypnosis place right next door to the shake location. I mean, there's a ton of businesses that people just may not be aware of. And the biggest thing to help those businesses is to help people be aware that they exist. And then they will stay there, and you don't need to worry about empty businesses. The chamber does a ton of work. And I'm very impressed with all their mixers. I always watch the little videos, and you know, they really care about helping local community. So thank you for doing that.
Okay. And number 2.
When I think about code enforcement, to me, my understanding turns to more public safety aspects. When you have, say, a developer that is in a hurry to build a whole bunch of apartments or condos, which is definitely the cause with overdevelopment, and that is why I'm absolutely opposed to overdevelopments, they cut corners. That puts people's lives at risk. It could be something like a business. They don't follow the rules and regulations for food quality. Maybe they add asbestos in the skin, I don't know, as an example. That's why we have code enforcement. And a lot of those things, people just kind of gloss over. They don't think about it. There's a house on Sunflower just before Arrow. I mean, I've only lived in Glendora for just over 3 years, but I've been around the neighborhood for almost 7. And that house, the entire time, has had this giant, hideous fence in front of it, and there is a code enforcement for that fence to come down, but it hasn't. So I think we need to really focus on supporting our city workers and our police department with the work that they're doing to help them. We can introduce technologies that would be smart technologies to have clear and concise lines to the police department, to code enforcement. Using a ticketing system, we'd be able to track the status of it. So it's one of those, if you see something, say something. Because if we don't protect our community and protect our charm and what Glendora is really about, we're in big trouble. Codes are there to be enforced for a reason. If there is something that needs to be changed, we can work to change it. But I think as a community, we need to support each other to help point out any potential violations for the safety of our community. Thanks.
Okay. Question number 8. To solve the homeless problem, the state of California is trying to build a 6-story building in the local city without city council approval. What would your plans be to address this issue in Glendora to prevent this kind of development? Candidate number 4, we'll start with this one, please.
So based on my conversation with the city manager, Adam Reitman, I think this is a very much stretched case of builder's remorse, which means if the city is not working with the developer, they can do what they want. That is in the state law. And I don't think our city is not working with developer. That's the first thing. Let's clear that out. Our city is currently actively working with developer. We have 11 projects in the pipeline, approved or pending, including residential, including medical office. So let's put it this way. This 6 stories is not happening in our city. And if anyone thinks that our city council is not doing our work, I would think you need to go back to look at the city council meeting. Our city council member is working very hard to make sure the development coming into our city is going to be matched with our character of our city. And the current project that we're talking about is a Dale Road project. The city owns this property, and we are looking at developing it for affordable housing and also transitional housing. These are the projects that our city needs in order to service the people who are either in a low-income situation or currently unhoused. These are the people we need to help elevate in order to make sure everyone can thrive in our city. Thank you.
Candidate number 1.
Interesting. The project, actually, here's some fun facts. The project is actually coming. It's a 6-story building that's taking the place of a car wash on Cypress near Grand in Covina. The key thing is it's county. And the reason why it's being put there is because the LA County Board of Supervisors have determined that's a great place for it to go. 6-story high-rise. And if you see the plot of land, all you need to do is go and drive over, and you will not believe this small parcel. It's going to look like a giant middle finger sticking up in the middle of the neighborhood. And it's so true, though, because it's all 1-story, single-family homes. In county, it's Charter Oak. And then there's like a Starbucks, there's a gas station, a liquor store, there's a mobile home park right next door to it. It does not match that neighborhood. The Dale property that is being considered over on Dale Road, that matches the community. But that's the difference is, that's the city of Glendora. The 6-story place, that's going on county Covina property. And the Covina City Council was never notified about that. So it's very important to be aware of what's coming up through the county and the Board of Supervisors. Keep your finger on the pulse and watch all of your surroundings at all times to be aware. Thank you.
Candidate number 2, please.
Given my background focusing on how data can drive optimized solutions, there's always the one speed bump and hiccup people don't always account for, and sometimes I think even our community forgets. I definitely know a lot of the community members I've talked to when I go out and about in the community with the kids. They think our city council and city managers sometimes are trying to advocate for things that don't align with their values, and that's just not true. If the state of California or the railroad or the county really want to do something, our only option to mitigate it is to work with them to control it so that way it can stay within what we deem appropriate regulations. Because if we don't, they're just going to do whatever they want, and as they put it, it'll be a giant middle finger that we all have to look at while we drive by. But when we get talking about homelessness, it really becomes a safety issue. Now, if we get to the point of addressing root causes as to big problems within there, we have options to help, again, mitigate it. We have an underutilized neighborhood watch program that does not have clear, clean, and concise communication with first responders. We have numerous faith-based organizations that we could partner with, groups like 22-0 as an example, who does amazing work. Outside resources like that don't cost the city anything, and they focus specifically on mental health and helping prevent and reduce homelessness. And if that's actually things you guys would like to know more about, I have a ton of information I can share with you because I've been a part of their nonprofit for 15 years. Thank you.
Candidate number 3.
I think, I'm not intimately familiar with the Covina build project, what their end use for that is going to be, but I think if you look at that and you also look at the project that was slated to happen in San Dimas, Laverne, on the border of San Dimas and Laverne, you get an idea of what happens when a community, city councils put their head in the sand and they try to ignore a problem that needs to be solved. And that problem was having housing, transitional housing or low-income housing available. The state and the county are mandating this, and when cities put their heads in the sand and refuse to do it, the county will come in and do it themselves. So I think it's important, and I applaud our city council for pushing the Dale Road project, because what this is it's an answer to the county coming in and deciding for us what they want to do. If we can get out in front of it and create our own program, our own transitional housing, low-income housing, we dictate the rules for people to be there, to stay there. We can dictate that there would be wraparound services. A lot of the population that would be using transitional housing likely has mental health or substance abuse issues, and if we control the facility, we can dictate that they get the help that they need. So I think that Glendora has been on the front end of doing this right, and again, I absolutely applaud our city council for what they have been doing.
Okay. Question number 9. What would it take to get a Trader Joe's in Glendora? I know I get asked this question. Okay, starting with candidate number 1.
This is too funny. This is like one of the things I ran for before, trying to get a Sprouts or a Trader Joe's to come to Glendora. I was reminded about it from one of my good friends, and he's all, you know, you just always seem like a little bit ahead of your time, because I remember you're all, what if we could get a Sprouts or a Trader Joe's? Well, we have a Sprouts. Trader Joe's, it's next door. I don't know if it's too close, but maybe we could steal it and then put it over maybe in the 99 cent deal store right here. That would be cool to attract people in the first and last mile, right? You know, of the A line. So that would be cool. But yeah, I would be all in favor of a Trader Joe's coming. They have the best cheese selection. So that's great. Thank you.
Candidate number 2.
My wife would be happy. She wouldn't have to drive to San Dimas. I think with the mixed development that will be eventually approved throughout 66, if we really turn it into a beautification project, I believe you could lure a Trader Joe's right down there. And it would actually be extremely beneficial with the A-line, because a lot of people who travel by the train definitely prefer Trader Joe's. That would be the way that I would have to encourage that. I do know Trader Joe's has limitations as to what proximity they can be from another store, whether it's a Sprouts or a Whole Foods or another Trader Joe's. There was a big debate over this in South Pasadena a few years ago, and it got pretty contentious between people. I personally thought it was hilarious that they're fighting over Trader Joe's. I do love their peanut butter filled pretzels and their delicious whiskey, but that's about my knowledge of Trader Joe's.
Candidate number 3.
Yeah, I think there's probably going to be some issues with proximity. We've got one in San Dimas and one in Monrovia, but let's just assume that that's not going to be an issue, that they don't have some internal guidelines. I think the way that you get a Trader Joe's or any type of supermarket like that to Glendora is giving them customers. And how do we give them customers? We have to bring in more people. And that's in terms of housing. We've got to have people that live here, residents. We have to make it a community that people who are passing by on the train at 4 o'clock on their way home from work feel like it's a safe and a good place to get off and walk to the store on their way home and jump back on the train and go. So we need to look at just overall growth in the city, bringing in housing, bringing in more businesses, just elevating the entire community, and I think that's how you get a supermarket like Trader Joe's, because we're going to end up needing it. We have a lot of great opportunities, honestly, along Route 66 corridor, down on Arrow Highway. There's a ton of possibilities, I think, but we need more people.
Candidate number 4, please.
So throughout my experience knocking on doors, I have been asked how and when can we get a Trader Joe's, Whole Food, or 99 Ranch in the city. So as someone who do finance planning, one thing that I know is any stores who wants to establish in the city, the first thing they're looking at is the market analysis. Talking about population, do we have enough people to go to their shop? Are we their target audience? Second thing, income level. Are we making enough for them to be here? So looking at Glendora, our city median income is about $106,000, which is very good compared to our neighbors. So I think we have a good chance to get a Trader Joe's, a Whole Food, or 99 Ranch. What we need to do is to make sure we have shown our willingness to have a population grow, to make sure people are moving into the city so that we can get those businesses coming in. And I think, as many of my fellow candidates mentioned, Route 66 is a good location, thinking about redevelopment. So let's work together and find that Trader Joe's home. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, question number 10. Kind of late. You addressed the topic of homelessness. With the train stopping in town here soon, what is your plan for the rise of homelessness, if that would occur, or you think it would occur? That's the question. Does that make sense? Okay. Candidate number 2, please.
Since we had previously mentioned on this, I guess we can go into a little bit more detail. Homelessness will happen with the train. You have people that will sit on that train all day and night. At the end of the night, around 2 o'clock in the morning, I believe it is, when they get ready to shut down, they just kick everybody off. Wherever they're at, that's where they get off. Until that line opens all the way up to Claremont, Pomona, this is where they're going to go. We're going to have to deal with it. But when we work with our faith-based community, because there is a lot of churches in Glendora with a lot of different backgrounds, we're able to partner with outside resources to help give community members who want to help people the proper training, the proper resources that we can offer an extended hand. And it's not just homeless people. There could be low-income people who might have just fallen on hard times that might just need that helping hand. We can do community outreach. Glendora is a very, very tight-knit community that we truly do care about our neighbors. I see it every day. I think when we work together, we can accomplish anything. If we work together to learn the proper things to deal with the homeless problem and get to the root cause of it, we can achieve that. Now, not everybody's going to want help. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. But if there is somebody that does need help, and we could just help one person change their life, save their life, is compassionate care not worth it? Just one life. Thank you.
Number 3, please.
Well, I think the unfortunate reality is that at least initially, we are probably going to see a rise in homeless individuals once the A line comes through and we're kind of the end of the line. I think that one thing that we can do is support our police department. The city council a couple years ago approved 59 sworn officers, and I think we have currently about 56. So there's room to grow our police department, and I think that having more boots on the ground will be good, interacting with those individuals. We actually have, I think it's 3 of our officers are dedicated to the interactions with our homeless population. So just continuing that interaction. I think Debbie Lopez in our Community Services Department does a fantastic job. That her and her team, they personally know the individuals in our town who are struggling, and so they can continue to help them. And I also think that the Dale Road project is going to be critical to helping those individuals, and not only having some low-income housing, but the transitional housing, but honestly, most importantly, is having the wraparound services available to those people, because just relocating them is just geography. I think we need to really make a concerted effort to help resolve their problem, help get them substance abuse support, help get them mental health support. And I think we've got a team that can do that, and I believe that the Dale Road project will be a good opportunity to kind of bring that all together.
Candidate number 4, please.
I'm actually someone very passionate about the housing issue. One thing, I grew up in a public housing project. Without housing, I won't be here. And the housing that I got focused on stability, making sure I have a normal childhood. It has nothing to do about comfort. And I think that is what our community should do, making sure everyone have a safety net. And that's why I want to ask everyone to support our city's Measure C. Should our County Measure A pass, the Measure C passage would guarantee the quarter penny sales tax comes back to our city. And that is estimated to be a $3 million annual revenue for our city, where our city manager has already suggested to put in to homeless program, homeless prevention program, making sure our roads are maintained, and also helping us to hire more police officers. So with that said, our homeless population is going to have an impact because of the coming of the A line. And what we have been doing, and what I feel very comfortable of our police department is doing, is they're working proactively with the Metro Police. And this is the kind of collaboration we want to continue to support as a city council member. Thank you.
And candidate number 1.
Okay, when the A line comes to town and it stops here, the homeless will get off, and they're going to look around really quick, and they're going to say, what's that? And there's the South Hills Wilderness Park. They will make a beeline. I guarantee it. The camping up there is out of control. It's no longer overnight camping. These are like full-time residences that the homeless up there have. And they go up and down Bonnie Cove. I see them every day. They go through the recycled trash cans of all the neighborhood. They take the recycles out on trash day. So you can imagine the mess and how frustrating it is. I fully believe that we need to increase the Glendora police patrolling the neighborhoods surrounding the South Hills Wilderness Park on both sides. So I'm on the south side. I've heard stories from people on the north side too, especially over by the dog park. The dog park apparently is not locked at night, and the people are going into the dog park area, camping out in there. So maybe a good idea to keep the dog park gate locked. But the Glendora police, if they are present nearby at the station when the Gold Line shuts down, or just have an increased presence in that area, that would be huge. Officer Meeker is the homeless liaison for the Glendora Police Department. He's awesome. He has helped me so many times with different situations with the homeless that are on Arrow Highway in the motorhomes, as well as he actually knows them by name, and he knows where they're located in the South Hills Wilderness Park. But we really do need the Dale property developed for a shelter. I work in a shelter as well, and I see how it works, and it really helps people.
Thank you very much. Okay, question 11 will be our last question tonight, and then we'll do final comments, and then we'll be done. So, question number 11. As a council member, do you have a plan on helping the mental health of our youth in this community? And for this one, we will start with candidate number 3, please.
Well, I think one of the best ways to help with mental health with our youth is to get them outside, get them moving, get them engaged with their friends, with the community. I'm a big believer in sports programs. I don't care what sport it is, but team sports bring so much to kids. It teaches them how to have friends, how to be a friend, how to be a team member, how to interact, how to have that social interaction, which I think youth today with technology, COVID did nothing to help it when everybody was hunkered down for so long, isolated from their friends, but just getting kids outside to the park, to baseball, to softball, golf, whatever it is, tennis. So I think as a council member, supporting programs for our youth is super important. I am a 100% supporter of making sure we have ample programs of all different sorts, because not every kid is going to play baseball. I know baseball's big in Glendora, but just a variety of different sports or different activities to get outside, get some fresh air, vitamin D. It makes a big difference. So that's what I do.
Candidate number 4, please.
So I believe one thing that we can do is supporting our youth through our school district. I'm a representative for Glendora Education Foundation on the PTA Council. What they have done is like supporting program and also wellness room on the campus. These are the programs that will help our youth to de-stress. And yes, after COVID, there is a lot of mental and developmental distress on our youth. They need all our support. Another way we can do it is through our youth sports program. This year, my husband signed up to be a coach because at the end of the day, they are letting us know if there is no one sign up, there will be at least a team cannot pay in my kids' age group. So I pushed my husband to sign up. And I think one thing that is very important, in order to support our youth, I want to have more support for our adults, providing training, a lot of training ahead of being a coach that we were not aware of. So I think one way to support our sports program would be having programs to have adults trained to be ready to be coach or assistant coach. Another way to do it is expand our summer camps. My kid was a big fan of the dirt camp. I'm planning to have him to be the third camp counselor when he turns 12. But that camp is such a limited offering. So if we can possibly expand it to a either longer length or more people, that would be a good idea. Thank you.
Candidate number one.
Dirt camp. I know that my daughter not have a good experience with the archery, but my twins went to dirt camp, and I know so many people, not necessarily living in Glendora, went to dirt camp as well. So, you know, it attracts, it's quite an attraction, and that's one of the best things you could ever get your kids involved in. For the mental health for youth, honestly, schools are doing a ton right now, and the counselors are working overtime on having different programs, such as in Covina, we have a program called Ruler, and what it's doing is it's being rolled out, and it's having opportunities for students to check in with the counselor if they feel that they need to have a little mental health break, you know, as well as checking to see how they're feeling for certain times, and it's made everybody very aware. So schools are doing a ton right now. We need to really offer more programs through community service if possible, just to give kids more options of things that they can do. The Dawson Teen Center is amazing. I love the Dawson Teen Center. Everything that they have there, the kids love. They also offer, I like how they have the shuttle now through the city, right over across from Glendora High School, and it takes the students, if they want to go hit Dawson Teen Center and then maybe go play some golf after that, or you know, have a good time. But I'm a big fan of the community services and the Dawson Teen Center for what they are doing and what they could possibly be allowed to do even more.
Okay, and candidate number two.
This is a topic that's difficult for me because 22 a day of my brothers and sisters take their lives. A lesser known fact is 1% of the suicides in the United States, 58% are first responder police officers, 21% are firefighters. So I have a unique experience with this. I've had close friends take their lives. Part of it is from a young age, we're taught as boys and young men, suck it up, buttercup, don't ask, don't tell. Girls sometimes don't get a diverse exposure to the realities of life. And it's an unfortunate thing. So, sorry, this was just hard for me to answer. Working with faith groups, forming advisory councils, where we can offer mentorship programs. There's a veterans group every Tuesday morning. That group gets invited to go to schools and sit with students, talk to them. Getting them outside and off of their phones, canceling out social media for a while, helps reduce depression as well. But if we can give our children a space where they can feel safe and talk, and that's part of why diversity is important. One person may not fit the bill for a specific child to feel comfortable to tell how they specifically feel, how they identify, what they're going through. Glendora is diverse enough that we can cover a broad spectrum. If we can make the children feel safe, especially through outdoor activities, they'll open up. If they open up, we can help change their life before things get worse, because unfortunately I know the end result personally.
Okay, now it's time for final statements. When we began, we went 1 through 4, and now we're going to go 4 to 1. So, we start out our final statements, close out this evening, the candidate number 4.
First of all, I want to thank everyone here tonight. We are all contributing to this race one way or another because we care deeply for the future of Glendora. This city is getting a new leader. What we need is someone who can balance preserving the character of this community and making thoughtful, forward-thinking decisions. What sets me apart as a candidate is not about my finance or strategic planning expertise. It is the way that I can listen and adapt. For someone who I talked to months ago, you may notice my approach towards certain issues has evolved. And you're wondering why. I'm telling you, you are the why. In the past couple months, I've knocked on over 1,500 doors. Every conversation I had deepened the understanding on the issues that Glendorans cares about. It shapes my opinion on them too. As your city council member, I'll continue to seek out those who think their opinions don't matter and invite them to be part of the process. Because I do not believe an elected official is to here impose their value, but to find common ground and solutions to make your day-to-day life better. Thank you for Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity to share my vision. I want to make sure everyone go vote. Your voice matters. Thank you.
Candidate number 3.
I'll make mine short since it's getting late and everybody wants to go home. But I just want to thank everybody again for being here tonight. It says a lot that you would come out and take your time to get to know us, hear our ideas and our thoughts. I think you have 4 good choices, and the choice is yours to make. I think that I'm uniquely qualified for this position because of my role in this community. I have my business in this community. My kids go to our schools. My kids play in our youth sports programs. They participate in our community events. And I'm the only one up here that can say that. I think we all have kids, but my kids are the only ones that are in our schools and participating in our programs and doing all the things in Glendora. So I have just a unique insight on all different facets of the city, and I think that would be beneficial to our city council and to residents. So thank you, Joe, for putting this wonderful event on and for tomorrow. We have another one tomorrow, and I appreciate everyone being here. Thank you.
And number 2.
I know I mentioned it at the beginning, and if you didn't believe me then, hopefully you do now. I am definitely not a politician, no political background, so hopefully I didn't scare any of you off today. But like I said, I'm just here as a father and a husband and a member of this community. I'm running because I truly do care deeply about not only my children, your children, our grandchildren. I care about the future that we're leaving for them. The decisions we're going to be making, whether it's homelessness, on the economy, on smart and thoughtful development, because I am opposed to this overdevelopment nonsense. I just want to make sure our community can remain vibrant and safe, and the true welcoming community that we have all come to love and accept. So, thank you. We definitely all appreciate the chamber, but we don't want you to get a big head, being the president of everything. But thank you to all of you for putting up with us tonight. And thank you to my other fellow candidates. It's been a blast getting to banter with all of you and sharing our ideas. If anything, I truly hope all of you can see that we're genuine with what we're talking about. A lot of our positions are coming from our hearts. So we may not agree on everything, but at the end of the day, the only thing that truly matters to us is protecting the charm of Glendora. So, thank you.
And then candidate number 1.
Thank you for spending your time listening to our responses and also providing awesome questions, so I appreciate that. I want to thank the other candidates as well for putting in so much hard work and time and effort and thought into their responses, and for caring so much about the community, wanting to get involved. So I am the only candidate who can say this. I'm the only candidate who went to Glendora High School, graduated, and has lived here for 43 years. My twins were born over at Foothill Presbyterian Hospital, and I'm proud of them every day and for all of their hard work and just growing up in the community, having birthday parties over at Gladstone Park and inviting like their 100 friends over. That's always fun. See, because it's double. Because when they were in different classes, they had to invite them. Okay, great. But anyway, so again, I really just want to have the opportunity to help represent the community. Everybody knows if there's something wrong or there's an issue, they contact me. They know I've been involved in the community for decades. They know I know the issues. They know that I could possibly even offer some assistance. I went and I completed a domestic violence prevention program in order to go and volunteer at a domestic violence shelter. And doing that allowed me to have an opportunity to see how a shelter works on the inside. And I think what Glendora really needs is that Dale Road project, a great understanding of, preserving our hillsides and preserving our culture and our history. And any other questions? Thank you again. Check me out at Erica Landmann, Word on the Street on Facebook, and Erica for Glendora on Instagram. Thank you.
Let's give them a round of applause. Before I let you go, there's a number of questions we couldn't get through. I mean, we went through 11 questions plus an opening and a close. That's quite a few. But I'm going to scan these, email them to all the candidates. They can respond on their own platforms if they like for the ones we couldn't get through. If we didn't get through yours, it wasn't personal, I promise. Because I don't know who wrote. Also, a reminder, we are back here tomorrow night, 7 p.m., same time. There's 2 trustee districts. We have another 4 candidates running for school board. So please join us. This was videoed as long as it worked, and it will be, it'll work, it's fine.
Sure.
It will be posted on the Chamber's YouTube page, probably this evening if I don't go to sleep. And we'll share it, some people that couldn't make it tonight. So again, thank you for joining us tonight and being up here and answering these questions. Thank you to our Legislative Action Committee for helping this, and have a great rest of your evening and enjoy yourself.